Hey guys, I'm Cassie Cameron, founder of Mind High Club, and today I'm here with the lovely Joanne Kennedy, who's a naturopath and specialising in the MTHFR gene mutation and methylation pathways. And she's used this knowledge to really successfully treat patients that have come in with anxiety or depression. So today we're going to learn all about what is MTHFR. What is the MTHFR gene?
So the MTHFR gene provides the code for the MTHFR enzyme, and that enzyme takes folate from food and it converts it into methylfolate. So methylfolate is the active form of folate that the body uses for a process called methylation. Okay, so we need to understand what methylation is when we're talking about MTHFR. Okay, so methylation is a biochemical cycle in the body, and that cycle makes important methyl groups. And methyl groups are a carbon atom with 3 hydrogens and a spare arm. And those methyl groups go around the body and they attach to compounds. And once these compounds and methyls attach, they become methylated. And when they're methylated, they can actually start doing their required function. Okay, so MTHFR and methylation are really linked because you can't start the methylation cycle without having good amounts of methylfolate. And if you've got a gene mutation on MTHFR, we know that's a downregulation, a reduction of functioning of that enzyme. So when you eat folate from foods, you're only getting a smaller portion of that folate converting into the active form than if you didn't have a gene mutation.
Okay, and for us that don't actually know what methylation is, why is that process so important?
Well, it's methylation, it's really important for mental health because it actually helps make important neurotransmitters. Okay, so it helps make dopamine, and dopamine is all about mood, motivation, drive. It makes serotonin. So serotonin is just to make you feel baseline happy, joy. And it also makes adrenaline. So we do need adrenaline to actually get up and go. Okay, so methylation is important for making these important neurotransmitters.
Well, so really important for mental health.
So really important for mental health. So there's studies done on people with low methylfolate and they have corresponding low neurotransmitters in their cerebrospinal fluid and corresponding depression. And studies have also shown that supplementing with methylfolate is really effective for treating depression.
Yeah, great.
Okay, so that's the depression side of things. When we're looking at anxiety, it actually comes more from histamine, okay? And histamine, a lot of people understand histamine as being part of the immune system response to allergies and hay fever. But histamine's also a neurotransmitter in the brain. So it's actually involved in learning and memory, alertness. But when it builds up too high, because you don't have enough methyls to break it down, it stimulates adrenaline from the adrenals, and that causes anxiety. So it causes heart palpitations, shortness of breath, nausea, sweating, shaking. Okay, so that's the anxiety side of things. And to make matters worse with anxiety is estrogen actually crosses through the blood-brain barrier and increases histamine in the brain. Okay, and how women get excessive estrogen is partly due to them not methylating their estrogen through the liver. So methylation breaks histamine down the brain, but it also degrades estrogen in the liver. So what can happen is you get this terrible cycle of high estrogen, high histamine, and you might not have enough methyls to break down the estrogen and the histamine, causing terrible anxiety.
Right, so it can work in a bunch of different ways.
It can work in a bunch of different ways on mental health.
So how can someone actually find out if they have this MTHFR gene mutation?
Okay, so you can get a simple blood test done, or you can also do a saliva test or a buccal swab to test if you've got MTHFR.
Cool, easy. Nice. So it's as simple as that, and then you find out, and then what can you actually do about it?
Okay, so anyone that does have MTHFR gene mutation, since we know that it's a down regulation of functioning of how much folate you actually get from your diet converting into methylfolate, the best thing you can actually do is start to increase the intake of your folate-rich foods. And so they're mainly green vegetables, the green leafy vegetables in particular, and legumes have good amounts of folate that will convert into methylfolate. The other thing that's really important to know is that folic acid is a synthetic man-made form of folate that actually blocks the uptake of your natural folate. So,
ironic.
Yeah. So if you've already got problems with converting folate from food into methylfolate, you don't want to block that even further. Yeah. So folic acid is in a lot of supplements. It's also in a lot of commercial breakfast cereals, protein bars, energy drinks, and it's fortified in Australian wheat. Okay, so if the packet says folate, it's not spinach in your breakfast cereal, it's folic acid.
Right.
The names are just interchanged. Yeah. So avoiding folic acid, increase your folate-rich foods. Yeah. The other really important thing about methylfolate and methylation, the entire pathway, is it's vitamin B12 that takes methylfolate into this methylation cycle to make your methyl groups for your neurotransmitters, okay? Yeah. So you need B12 from animal protein, eggs, chicken, fish, pork, lamb. You need good amounts of protein, animal protein and B12, because you can have all the folate you like, all the methylfolate you like, but you can't use it if you don't have good amounts of B12.
Right.
Okay, so that's really important. Another thing that's really important is taking some activated B vitamins. So these activated Bs are actually the cofactors for all the enzymes that run the methylation cycle. So there's many more enzymes in that cycle other than just the MTHFR enzymes, and the B vitamins help those enzymes move along and work better, work more optimally.
Right. So basically, increasing leafy greens, legumes, and then really important B12 and B complex.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Okay.
And methylfolate, you can supplement with methylfolate. It needs to be done slowly. You need to start with 100 micrograms and pulse that up slowly until you have an effect. Yeah. Some people do have a negative effect from methylfolate, so you've got to be very careful. It's probably best to do that under the guidance of a trained practitioner to make sure that it's done properly.
Of course, yeah. Great. For our audience, what are some other health issues that can actually contribute to someone's stress levels or anxiety and depression?
Okay, so what research is really telling us lately is that inflammation is a major driver of anxiety and depression. So inflammation can come from many different things. It can come from infection, so that's a virus, yeast overgrowth in the gut, bacteria overgrowth in the gut, a parasite. This will all stimulate the immune system to release inflammatory cytokines. Dysbiosis, which is an imbalance of good and bad bacteria in the gut, that will also cause inflammation. Leaky gut, which is having tiny little microscopic holes in the lining of the gastrointestinal tract. And what happens is particles from food, bacteria and toxins get into the blood, and the immune system recognises that as a threat, and that it causes an inflammation cascade. Okay, so that's a huge cause of inflammation. So autoimmune conditions such as Hashimoto's, or we now even know that endometriosis is more of an immune system dysregulation than a gynecological condition. So these inflammatory conditions can really cause anxiety and depression. High blood glucose and insulin resistance causes a lot of inflammation in the body. High cortisol from stress causes a lot of inflammation in the body. Obesity, so fat tissue causes inflammation. And really importantly is there's many foods that are very inflammatory. So it's sugar, high fructose corn syrup, gluten, trans fats, fried foods, alcohol, unfortunately.
Stuff we all know is bad.
Stuff we all know is bad. It's very inflammatory to the body. So we know that inflammation is a major cause of anxiety and depression.
Wow. Yeah, it's so interesting to look at it like that as well. So all of those other health issues we spoke about, gut health and everything, basically falls under inflammation, or is that a separate? Yeah,
well, when we're looking at the gut is the powerhouse of our health. It absorbs our nutrients. It helps protect us from toxins.
Right. Okay,
so when you destroy the gut microbiome with sugar or too many antibiotics, stress will do that too. Is you're not absorbing your nutrients, you get an imbalance of good bacteria, bad bacteria, inflammation will really stem from that. Right. So when we're looking at methylation, we think how can we, B12 absorption is really key in gut health. So you need to have a really good gut to absorb your B12. So if your gut's not good, your methylation is going to start to unfold.
So it's all kind of connected.
Very
really,
connected. When we're looking at gut, when we're looking at the whole body, the gut health is really important.
Yeah, so for someone watching this who may or may not have the MTHFR gene mutation, but is experiencing some level of chronic stress or anxiety or depression, low mood, what are some really good general lifestyle diet and sort of supplements tips you could offer them?
Yeah, I think when people are under stress, causing anxiety and low mood, one of the key important things to do is to stabilise your blood sugar with diet. You can do that with diet. So ensuring you're having good amounts of protein and fats alongside nice anti-inflammatory vegetables, salads, full of fibre that stabilises your blood glucose too. Eating like that throughout the day is going to keep your mood a lot more level. Okay, so that would look like half the plate is plant food, vegetables, salad. The other quarter is some good quality animal protein. And the other quarter is some good fats like avocado, nuts and seeds, and what you can make with nuts and seeds like tahini or pesto, nut butters, coconut oil, olive oil. So eating a balanced meal like that is extraordinarily important for maintaining more of a stable mood. And when you eat protein, the amino acids that are in the protein are actually the precursors to making neurotransmitters. So tryptophan, which is an amino acid, it will go on to make serotonin. Okay, tyrosine, which is an amino acid, will go on to make dopamine. Okay, so if you're not eating protein, you don't have the precursor to even make your neurotransmitters. Okay, and protein is also a really good source of iron and zinc. And iron and zinc are needed to take these amino acids and convert them into these important neurotransmitters.
So given that protein is a really important part of this process, say that someone is a vegetarian or vegan, what would be their options?
They need to be really looking at combining plant-based protein, so looking at having nuts and seeds with legumes, and some more sort of less inflammatory grains like quinoa, rice, sort of gluten-free usually. Would be a better option for them, but just maintaining their blood sugar with good snacks of nuts and ensuring that they've got good plant protein, legumes, chickpeas, lentils at each meal.
Okay.
Yeah, and then supplementing with B12 is really important particularly if you're a vegan.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And seems like in general, if you have the MTHFR as well. Yeah.
Oh, it's just if you've got MTHFR, you really should be on all the B vitamins just to get that pathway moving along. Yeah.
Great. Well, this has been really interesting and really helpful tips, so thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Cassie.
And there you have it, info all about MTHFR and some diet and lifestyle tips if you're experiencing stress, anxiety or low mood.